There's a voice in society that is driving it to come back to the things that matter. This happened in the 70s and during the Great Depression, and this calling is occurring again. People have felt that the foundation of society is crumbling, and many have wondered whether they can take ownership of their lives, rather than being a cog in someone else's machine. There are 3 stages of awakening according to Jill. Number 1, reckoning, when people come to terms with the emptiness they feel, and know that they want something more out of life. Stage number 2 is research, when people search for alternative lifestyles. Stage 3 is a return to the old-fashioned lifestyle, which could include buying land or simply making soap. The author guides her readers through the first 2 stages. The author, Jill, bought her first homestead, and it felt suitable as a starter home, even though it was run down. It became a never-ending project where she cleaned, maintained, and painted the house, and no one was coming to help her. Those early years on the property enabled her to build grit, and she was satisfied with the hard work. She planted crops a few months after that. She had hens who laid eggs, and the author felt like she was walking on air afterwards. Her budget was tight, and she faced losses and criticism from people who judged her lifestyle. She once brought a goat to a family reunion in the suburbs, yet she felt she was becoming more authentic by doing so. One can be a master of one's fate. The author was 24 at the time when she started this homestead, and felt like she genuinely belonged for the first time, and couldn't help but talk about it all the time. Jill wondered why her ancestors left the farm in the first place. The Industrial Revolution ended the old-fashioned lifestyle and is the most crucial 100-year period in the modern world. This revolution created a surplus for the first time ever. Marketers convinced people they needed more stuff, and after World War II, consumption increased again after a brief slowdown. Many people thought at that time that never having to produce food for a lifetime and being able to fly would create the happiest people in the world, but the opposite has actually happened. Dependence, instead of self-reliance, has created new problems. Even though she has a husband, the author knew that no one was coming to save her, and it's easy to come up with excuses, but she knew if she wanted to build a legacy homestead, she would have to start building it. She took charge of her local relationships, health, and finances. These risks and a doing whatever it takes attitude have helped her family thrive and create an exciting life. She would teach herself, take odd jobs, buy a fixer-upper rather than a lovely home, and drive up to the recycling centers if there were outside of her local area. Doing an arduous task builds self-confidence and makes you feel like you're the person who can make things happen. People try to have as few responsibilities as possible in the modern world. The old-fashioned lifestyle is proactive and leads to taking responsibility, as well as people taking action before a law is passed, or waiting for the government to resolve an issue. According to the author, it's best to buy seasonal food, and even that varies by location. The other question to ask is to find out how far food travels. This question encourages people to buy local produce, since it lowers emissions, food insecurity, and costs. It's not as healthy or tasty to buy distant foods. As with anything, the beginning is the hardest, but it gets easier. Jill has grown thousands of pounds of veggies over the decades and made many mistakes. Heirloom seeds have been around for 50 years and are great for entry-level gardeners. Gardeners can save seeds from these plants, and they are affordable seeds to buy. Southern-facing windows are great for people who don't have land and want to grow food in their apartment, for example. Feeling like fast food meals are cheaper and needing a person to help teach you how to cook are 2 roadblocks to cooking for yourself. The author has a tremendous sourdough recipe on her website and cooks rustic meals. Americans eat on the go more often, but eating together has health benefits. The author sees her lifestyle as balanced and eats well 80% of the time. Try cooking at least once a week, even if you use ingredients from the grocery store. Kitchen equipment can be bought at thrift stores and garage sales. Jill looks for opportunities to work with her hands. The effort-driven reward cycle has to do with doing hands-on work. Dopamine and serotonin are released when people do manual activities, and that doesn't include pressing buttons. In the old days, people were generalists and needed to know how to cook, hunt, make equipment, etc. Now people are hyper-specialized, and their skill level is dwindling. Home-based skills really add up and can help one save money. Machines should be used in balance with old-fashioned cooking. The author uses washing machines, especially in the winter, since line drying is almost impossible with the strong winds she faces. Creating helps people step out of the consumer mindset and unnatural lives. In the modern world, people are sleep-deprived, overfed and undernourished, socially isolated, and sunlight-deprived. They are missing something essential. Find a way to get back to your natural environment. People have outsourced their opportunities to be active and move around. Biophilia is connected with nature that people seek out. The senses awaken in nature, which makes people feel more connected with themselves. Go see natural light when you wake up. Touch the soil daily or walk barefoot. Creativity goes hand in hand with a mind that wonders. The author prefers to read instead of looking at her phone. Decluttering, watering plants, or exercising are other things the author does instead of looking at her phone. Social media is helpful when people use it in a personalized way. The dependence on TV caused community engagement to plummet, and things got worse after people got cell phones. See people in real life and invite friends over. Don't pull out your phone the second you feel uncomfortable in a social setting. Pollution, trash, and extinction are the side effects of technological progress. The author has become more connected to the land over time. We have too much grain, which is used everywhere to feed livestock and fuel cars. Wheat, grain, and the industrial system are very efficient, but harm the environment and create allergies in people. Loss of biodiversity is also a product of industrialization. Farmers face many issues and have different styles of farming. Healthy soil removes carbon and supports more plant life. Grasslands are vital for managing carbon and have a lot of nutrition in them. Prairie grasslands remove more carbon from the atmosphere and purify the air more than any other landscape. People retain the pesticides in their bodies after eating 70% of foods grown with pesticides. There are 310 toxic chemicals used in production, and 30% of pollinators have disappeared, sadly. It hasn't been healthy for humans either. If you try the old-fashioned lifestyle, as your competence grows, it will create more confidence in you, which leads to more competence. It's a cycle. Kids need some exposure to healthy risks. Please don't treat them as fragile. Kids learn better from real-world experiences. Most of education happens outside of school, even in this modern world. Curiosity, playfulness, and sociability drive education. It's important to not protect kids from failure, according to the author. What is one thing you learned from this book? Comment below and let me know. Thanks for watching.